All right. So Andrew may or may not be short time. It depends on how long the episode goes. So we would kick it off actually with Andrew. Did you watch the Predator film?
I watched Killers of Killers.
All right.
Killer Killers. I did.
So yeah, so this is it seems like a legitimate entry in the Predator franchise, even though it's an animated film. And it's more of an animated kind of anthology of a few short films pushed together. Um, and they could have almost released it as like a miniseries if it had been, a few more stories. But it was really, excuse me, it was really well done. Dan Trachtenberg directed this one. He directed Prey. He's directing Badlands, which comes out later this year. Which, especially if you watch this and then read the synopsis of Badlands, it sounds like it's pretty well related to this one. Badlands takes place on the same planet, and it's about the basically kind of the history and life of the predators. So, I don't know. What'd you think of this one? You just if you watched it obviously today. So what'd you think?
Yeah. It was solid. It was solid. Like, I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, like my brain fragments
Right.
are everywhere, but it was very solid. Here's what I'll say. The action scenes were so visceral. I definitely felt like I wasn't at ease. I was absolutely kind of like mentally at the edge of my seat as I watched all the action, whether it was uh the Norse Ambessa, as I'll call her, because like they were all badass. Like the three of them. My favorite story was obviously Sword. And I actually had to go back and make
Yeah.
sure I understood what happened between the brothers. But no, I think it was very, very solid. And even that little Easter egg at the end of the movie,
Yes.
where you see the connection to what Trachtenberg's been already doing. It was, yeah, I will just say solid is the word. You will not regret watching this, especially if you like animation and you liked Arcane because the artwork was absolutely Arcane-esque.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't quite as bright and vibrant in most places as Arcane. And there's a reason for that. I mean, this is a darker story. But it worked. It has it's not realism is the right word, but it definitely kind of that artwork gives it a feeling that it's not so cartoony.
More
Um,
three-dimensional. Yeah.
yeah. And it's really good in that regard. Yeah, I agree. I actually liked all three of the stories. They were different. It was funny. I watched it with my youngest, and so the first one is Shield, the second one is Sword, and the third one, like we're watching it, my son's like, "What is it going to be? The gun?" And then when it dropped, it was the bullet, but it wasn't gun. It was a bullet. But I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool. Like, good job." Like, and
Yeah.
it made sense, and like all the characters were well made, and I actually loved the way even right before the nod at the end when they're carting her off again to see that they didn't kill her. You're like, this chick's badass. Like
Yeah.
she belongs in this kind of arena there or this collection that we have. Um, it was really cool. I think they did a great job with it. I liked that. I think one of the things that actually made the second one the best is the simple fact there wasn't a lot of dialogue. Like it was you were watching something strictly for the action and picking up the story because of the action.
Yeah.
Like the way that it opens up and the little kid gets cut on the face and bolts is like, I'm out of here. He goes full Ronin, becomes a ninja, comes back, and you think he's there to kill his brother, and his whole reason for coming back is to shows that he's as good or better than his brother. It's the only
Yeah.
thing. So when he does it and then he falls off the ledge, you're like, oh fuck, because that's the moment that you get it, and then he falls off the ledge, and you're like, oh no, and then everything goes to hell, and they have their moment. Um, but but yeah, I thought it was. I mean, as far as Predator stories go, I think it was really good. The Predator is up and down, right? Like you had the whole era of Predator movies kind of going
I
downhill.
never saw any of those, man. The only Predator movies I saw, of course, was the original and
Hmm.
then the Danny Glover one. So I never saw AVP or any.
Yeah.
It all looked like just yuck. But if you
Yeah.
did, let me know.
Yeah, they were just okay. Like none of
Okay.
them were good. They were fun for what they were. The thing in the Badlands trailer that seems like it's a big deal is the Weyland-Yutani Corporation shows up in that trailer. So Alien and Predator are in the same universe. I was actually curious if we were going to see one of the aliens in the
Oh,
in in the
in
end
the yeah.
sequence. Yeah. Um, but it kind of makes sense that we don't. Like that's the whole point is they are so kind of equally opposed that really wouldn't work. Um, but yeah, so the first sequence for those that haven't watched it yet is a Viking sequence, right? And one of the things that I think makes it interesting, and my son asked actually at the end. So there's three sequences, different eras. We've got Vikings, the samurai era in Japan, and then we have World War II, and we have a Mexican American fighter pilot in World War II. They all get taken, but they're all on the ship at the same time, which is interesting. So it means, and then we see that what happens is when they were taken, they were frozen, unfrozen for this battle here in the fourth act, that kind of sets off the end of the film. And my son asked, when they get away, is like, well, are they getting away now, like our time, or like it could be any time. It could be any time
Maybe
after
far
1942,
future, yeah.
basically. Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
like if they were to go home, like do they even know how to get home, right? Um, where would they be going home to? It's interesting. So, um, it was a fun film too. Like it definitely did not skimp on the gore. It was very Predator-esque in that regard. The Viking
Yes.
story was great. Like the woman was a absolute badass. Like you're right, Mbasa, like Viking Mbasa is the perfect description. Like just a monster. When she does the scene where she says she's gonna knock, and then she opens the door. She's got two
Yeah,
shields,
yeah,
and
yeah.
she just cuts that dude's head off. I was
Decapitates.
yeah. I looked at my son. I was like, so that's why Steve Rogers only has one shield. I was like, because he would be like, but she was a little Steve Rogers. Like she was throwing that thing
A
around and
thousand
just
percent.
just kicking ass. And I just thought it was well done, but it was emotional. Like when her son takes the dude out, that's great. When she sees her son, you know, die, like that is emotional and solid. That's great. The second story's got a ton of emotional impact because of the whole brothers and kind of proving yourself thing. And then, the kid kind of rising up to save the day. You even see at the end of his sequence when the ground is shaking, you see he got himself like a Medal of Honor. Like he had a medal and it falls off the counter. Like it's all really good. And then for them to come together in the final act to fight their way out, it was definitely the last part was the cheesiest part. Like that was the part where they had to get a lot of bonuses story wise going their way. They had a little plot armor there at the end, you
Well,
know.
are you talking about just like, I mean, it kind of reminded me a little bit of even that first opening scene of Guardians 2, like where there's a big ass alien and he gets swallowed by it and he's like stabbing it from the
Yeah.
inside like Drax did. Um, but at the same time, I just liked it still felt earned to me. Like the fact that
Hmm.
they like I keep calling her Ambessa, I know she has a name. But like Ursa. Ursa is like trying to kill, samurai ninja dude, but they finally get it, and anyway, I liked it. I mean, I want to say more, but for some reason I'm just not as articulate as I usually am about these things. But um yeah, I will also say when you talk about plot armor, so Ursa is next level. I think that that whole underwater ice stuff was incredible combat. I'm
Hmm.
like, yo, if that was me, like when you're exerting yourself, you're using up oxygen way faster. So for me, it would just be like fight, fight, swallow
Yeah,
water.
I'm dead. Yeah.
Like that. That to me is like how, but she's legit having full on combat for like minutes underwater with this thing. And the way that she actually is able to use I think the uses her seal to like boom, she gets out and then he's like impaled. Like that was just like, yo, the aliens had to be like, wow. Like yeah, we're taking her, you know?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
love at the end, they're like, let's hunt or let's go hunting. Like it was just kind of cool. But we have no idea how that ended because I mean, let's go hunting. Were they hunting them or were they all just hunting together? Like we're all the same family now. You
Mm,
earned your stripes. Who knows?
yeah. I definitely I liked all that. I liked, and I thought the underwater animation, the fight, might have been some of the best. Like I just I like I don't, as somebody that is not an artist, that like I can't draw like that. Like I can't even draw stick figures doing that. Like I can't like put that in my, and for them to draw that so well because it's so quick, and there's so much going on in that scene and in a tight space, and it just looks so good. Like it's amazing. I don't know what studio did this. Um, so I don't know. I don't think it was the same studio that did Arcane. They're a little
Yeah.
even more over the top, but this is I think we said it before when we were talking about Arcane. Like this style, this look is kind of the future of animation, I think. I'm seeing it more and more. People are trying to replicate that, and I think it really has it has a good look. Like we're kind of they tried to do CG in the early 2000s, and that didn't really work. You know, me and my son are watching Transformers Energon for the hell of it, which was 2007, I think. And they had gotten away from the really bad CG stuff, but now everything you can tell is drawn on computer because all the lines are like too sharp. One thing that's hilarious about that one is every now and then something slips into like super anime cartoon pencil art for like 10 seconds and then cuts back to the weird, like it's so jarringly different that it's hilarious. Um, but this style that is becoming more popular, I think, is we're going to see more and more of, because I don't know if it's easier to make. It doesn't seem like it because Arcane took friggin' forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it looks nice. It's really easy on the eyes.
Hmm.
Um, it it just works, and I think anybody that's a fan of the Predator franchise, I think will genuinely enjoy this movie. I know it's animated, so you kind of gotta get over that, but it really works as three individual tales. Like just the stories themselves, each one is really good. There, if you really wanted to take your time with this, you could watch one 20 minutes out of your day, maybe watch another one another day. You don't have to rush through the entire film if you don't want to. Um, but it also definitely ties directly back to Prey, ties into the next Predator movie. Like this thing is legit in the Predator universe. So if you're a fan and a fan of where this is going, I think it's worth a watch.
Ditto. Two thumbs up.
Yeah, I yeah, I enjoyed it. I was surprised. I was surprised. I had heard that it was really good. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's like a 90 something percent on both sides. 93, I think, 97 from the critics, 91 from the fans.
Nice.
I on IMDb it's a 7.7. Like it's rated really well. And I couldn't believe it. I was like I don't know, man. And then I watched it and I was like, yeah, no, it's solid. Like I really did enjoy it. So, um, but I'm with you. I think the feudal Japan one was the best. Uh, but I can't knock the Viking either. She kicked a whole lot of ass. So,
Oh, trust me, they were all dope, all of them.
mhm.
I mean, because like the third one, just because of it was giving me a little bit of Captain America, like the whole like everything happening in the sky. Like this dude is so brave. He is legitimately like climbing out of his airplane, holding on to
Mhm.
it, kicking off an engine. He has smirks. Like, it reminded me of Iron Man 1. He's like, okay, well, he figured out it was the heat, cool the engines. Then you got like Michael Biehn, from the Terminator. He's like voicing that guy, like, hey, avenge me, I think he said or something like that. But
Yeah.
again, it was very edge of your seat. And that's, I think, if you want to be like, oh, it's animated, so it's like, no, dude. First of all, the gore level is ridiculous. Like, there's actually like body
Yeah.
parts like flying through the
Yeah.
air, like when the guy got like when the like Lauren, you'd love it. No, but seriously, it was dope. But anyway, all three of them were dope. Don't get me wrong. But I just felt like you know, I wasn't expecting. Is this is a little spoilerific? I'm not gonna spoil. I'll just say this: I wasn't expecting a certain like in the second one. Like I thought it was a wrap. Like you talked about how he was trying to prove to his brother who was a better one, or that he's just as good, and then he falls off, and we're like, oh no, right? But then like things happen, and then like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, boom, and then they still keep going, but then like the predator comes, and then they do that like awesome like coup de grace, they call it, I guess. Like
Yeah.
they take him out, and it was just and then the fight choreography.
Oh
Anyways,
yeah. Yeah, like
y'all,
I know like when you do CGI and you do motion capture, that stuff makes sense. Like for somebody, I feel like this had to be acted out on some level, and then
oh
somebody drew it
yes,
from that because
I was thinking that.
it's so good. It's just so good. And but yeah, the finale of that one too is dope. Like that very, it was a very like samurai ninja movie moment at the end that was just dope. So um, yeah, it's
I remember one more thing, and I actually almost wonder if I telepathically like got to Dan Trachtenberg. I remember on this show, we were talking about Prey, and I'm pretty sure one of us, and it might have been me, said, "Yo, the next one, it's got to be Samurai, dude. Like, can you imagine
hmm
like a samurai fighting a predator?" And he's like, "Okay, well, I got you, Andrew. Not only one, it's gonna be two, baby. Two samurais, one predator.
yeah.
Eat."
Now,
So
the one thing I pointed out to my son, I was like, and I think really thinking about the end of the film, I think it's sort of answered, but like, what happened to these ships? Like these predators, they got there on a ship. They didn't make it out. So what happens to their ships? But I think ultimately there must be like a predator garbage pickup team,
oh
like
hell
that
yes.
comes and
Yeah.
gets the ships. Like, don't leave that trash behind. We need that.
Yes.
But it was funny. I was looking at, and actually, I really dig that it was Michael Biehn because, like, dude, you know, he disappeared after Terminator, sort of like his
And
career.
aliens. I
Yeah.
remember also reading, and this is relevant, yo. Michael Biehn, he said he was so mad when he found out what happened in Alien 3. Like, really, dude? Like, we go through all of that just to end up like killed off screen at the beginning of the movie. He was like, "What the fuck?" And I agree
Yeah.
because Michael Biehn was like, he was like the kind of like it was her, him, and Newt. Like it was them three, and maybe Bishop a little bit too. But like by the end of Aliens 2, and you undid all of that. And now you're a prison colony, and she's bald, and she's pregnant with a fucking alien. Sorry, it was just like, what? Like, it's so terrible. Like, so terrible. I still think it's actually, I mean, it did the worst. Actually, I don't even know. I know three kind of fell off. It's more of an art film. It's an adventure. But I just brought that up because, of course, Bean, I just read that literally, I think, this past week. And I'm like, Bean, I feel you, man. It's funny to hear actors get mad about what happened to their character. I just had to say one more thing. The music of this was good too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll wait for one more score before I actually bother to learn the guy's name. Sorry, man. But like, I do remember liking the music and thinking, okay, like everything about this. Again, I keep saying solid. Like this was damn good. Dan Trachtenberg, you are a name that I'm now going to start paying attention to because you're from the J.J. Abrams and there's two other guys. Oh shoot. They were in Lost.
Oh,
Uh,
Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof.
yeah, but there's even more. Oh, what's his name? I'm sorry. Just ignore me. Matt Reeves, is it? Hold on.
Oh yeah, yeah, they did Batman.
Okay, it's not Matt Reeves. Hold on. It's this is so lame. You have to edit. Um, Cloverfield, the first Cloverfield.
Wasn't that
I'm
JJ?
trying. Well, JJ, I think executive produced it, but
Oh,
it
okay.
was yeah, it is Matt Reeves. So
Okay.
yeah, Matt
Yeah.
Reeves, Drew Goddard, that's the name I was looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I know
So
Drew Goddard.
Drew
Yeah.
Goddard, I think he was involved with Lost too. So Drew Goddard wrote Cloverfield, Matt Reeves directed it, and
Uh,
Trachtenberg did the second one, which was 10 Cloverfield Lane.
he
So
did an episode of Black Mirror too.
yes, he did, and I just saw that play test. So yeah, Trachtenberg, you are saving the Alien not Alien, the Predator
The Predator
franchise.
franchise. Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of taken it over at this point, and I think
Just looking
Actually
at.
looking at his track record too, like other than one film, everything is a 7 or higher on IMDb, which is pretty impressive. Like that's not
It's
easy to
consistent.
do. A lot of directors, have their misses.
Right.
So yeah, he's pretty solid. So it'll be fun to watch him, and hopefully, like I want to see him do great with the Predator franchise, but it'll be nice to see him break out of that too. Got to keep moving. So, all right, cool. Well, speaking of keeping moving, um, we'll move
I
on.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't want to be too selfish, so like we can do the assessment and then we can do centers and then I can bounce.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's where I am. So, let's have Lauren jump in and talk about the assessment, which your note says it's on Apple TV, but you watched it on Prime.
Yeah, I just rented it
Okay.
from Prime.
All right.
Yeah, I was looking for something new to watch, and based on the synopsis, it intrigued me, and I'm glad I did because it was definitely fascinating. Uh, as I mentioned in the pre-show, it's definitely something that I think it would be up both of your alleys in terms of just topic, and also just due to the genre of this film being somewhat of a I'd say it's a mixture of sci-fi and thriller in one, but it's supposed to be post-apocalyptic era, and it stars Elizabeth Olsen, and then I'm trying to think how to pronounce Himesh. Is that
Yeah. Himesh
That's
Patel.
tell.
Himesh? Yeah, Himesh Patel, and they play a married couple, Ariane and Mia, who have been at least married for a few years now, and they're in the post-apocalyptic world. They have their own land. It seems like it's pretty isolated from like everything else. It's right next to the water, and he works as like an AI scientist making AI generated pets. And Elizabeth Olsen's character, Mia, she's a plant biologist, so she's trying to find like different sources of energy. And we come to find during the film that many years prior, there was like this former world where resources were becoming just very slim. And in order to make the most of their environment, what they had to do, unfortunately, government had to take over. And they're in a situation now where there's less people. And therefore, they have to make the most of what they have with the smaller population and less resources that are currently available to them. So they're both contributing in their own way with Mia, who's played by Elizabeth Olsen, trying to find other sources of energy through plants in her greenhouse, which is located right next to their house. And then Ariane, her husband, does the AI pet thing to try to give back, since obviously, I guess animals take up a lot of energy and resources, right? How do we get the same satisfaction from an AI pet without actually having them waste resources? And he does that like in the basement or just lower part of their home where he tests that. So you come to find this couple wants to have a child, and in this type of society, in order to have a child, you need to have an assessor visit your home, spend a week with you, and give you the green light in order for you to be able to produce. Now, in this world, you can't just conceive a child. Everything is like outside of the uterus, and you have to be given permission in order to even have a child in the first place. So they have an assessor show up who's played by Alicia Vikander, and this is where I'm just like this. All the other roles I've seen her, she's been pretty much like a badass or just like a more gentler character.
Mhm.
She is absolutely just unhinged and just, yeah, well, you come to find, but she's just downright evil, this woman. And she's the assessor. And the first day of the 7 days she comes in, just not even a smile on her face. Yep, I'm going to be living here, assessing you for the next 7 days. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So they just go through this like survey. of questions together individually, and then she just watches them. And this is where it gets like very bizarre because it's more than just her being a fly on the wall and just living with them almost like as a guest. They end up giving her their bedroom because she doesn't like the mattress in the second bedroom. And they end up sleeping in like a very small or a smaller bed together. She ends up the first night watching them have sex and they stop and she says, "Oh, pretend like I'm not here. This is part of the evaluation." Just a total, you know, crossing of boundaries, right? But they want a child, so they're like, whatever, I guess we have to do this because we really want a kid. So we'll do whatever she wants us to do, basically. The next day she gets up and she is in full form acting like a child so that she's able to assess how they handle her making a mess in their kitchen with food. And of course, they're pretty much taken aback because they're like, all right, please stop. And she pushes the envelope even more till they start, raising their voices and getting angry. She then hits Ariane in the face and he ends up like something goes into his eye, so they have to run to the bathroom. She goes into his like secret layer workspace and she starts turning up the, I guess, volume. So you hear like loud sounds downstairs and she's just making a mess. So she does that to see how they do there. She, and it gets worse over time. She then is like, all right, you guys have to build this like fun space for me. And it's almost like a project that you would get from IKEA. Build this, and you have the next couple of hours to figure it out. I'm going to go to bed. So they struggle to figure it out, but they end up building this like big space, almost like a what would look like a circular tent, but um, a hard outer shell material with almost like adult connects to put them together. So they managed to do that. And then she just puts them through just these like very grueling type of assessments, everything from taking her and lifting her to go to the beach and then just seeing how they react to different things, wanting to sleep in bed with them, which is bizarre. And then having to entertain a few other families and random people for an unexpected dinner. And who shows up? His mother, his ex, and a few kids. And then her ex shows up, people that they had former relations with, etc., to make it very awkward to see how they handle things. Minnie Driver's at that dinner. She's one of the characters there. So it's a very uncomfortable dinner. And then each day gets like worse and worse, as I'm sure you can imagine. There's one point where Mia gets a call saying that her sister had like a brain aneurysm and is very sick. And she's like, okay, I have to go. And she says, well, if you leave, you end the experiment and you forfeit being able to have kids. She's like, is there anything you can do? Fine, leave, but you have to be back by 6 a.m. So she goes to leave, which leaves Alicia Vikander alone with Ariane, which I'm sure you can imagine where this goes, where she puts him in a situation where they're alone in a bedroom and he's forced to be intimate with her. And he's pretty much held in a position where he's like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, do you want a child? If you want a child, you have to do this. Like, just horrible. So he basically, I don't want to say rape, but it's to a point where it's like, yeah, like horrible. And he's like, if you wanted a child, you're gonna basically sleep with me. She ends up coming back before 6 a.m. and he asks, how's your sister? Oh, there was a mistake. Apparently, it was another patient. So clearly, you find out this was planned. And do you want me to spoil it or no?
Actually, no, I'm actually intrigued.
Yeah, I'm.
Okay.
Might watch this.
Yeah, it's like seriously messed up, but yeah, and I mean Alicia Vikander's character is just sheer manipulative and evil, and you're like, is this woman just like doing everything she can so that they can't pass the test? And she's going beyond like what you would feel would be in some sort of assessment like this. to any, extreme. One thing to like ruffle their feathers and see how they react to childlike behavior, but another thing when you start ruining their home and their livelihood and their relationship. So it really tests their boundaries, their limits, and it reminded me of two movies, a little bit of two movies. Don't Worry, Darling, if you've seen that.
I have.
Slightly a little bit of that, and you'll know what I mean after you
Is
see
that
it.
that's the
And
one with Florence Pugh, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and Harry Styles,
Yep,
like a
yep.
little bit of that, a combination of that and Speak No Evil.
Why does that
Okay.
sound familiar?
That's the one with the boundaries with James McAvoy. There were two versions. There was a Swedish version. The
Yes, I didn't see it, but like I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's similar with the boundaries. However, they're kind of forced to, if they want to have a child, to just kind of cooperate in a very uncomfortable fashion. But overall, so it was rated in like the low mid 80s by the critics and low 90s by audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it was just from the synopsis and just what this entailed, it really made you think. And it was definitely a fascinating scenario concept out there. God forbid we ever have to, be in a situation like that. Opposite of The Handmaid's Tale, where they want people to procreate, it's almost like they want to reduce the amount of people and only giving those that pass the test the privilege to be able to procreate in a
Right.
apocalyptic world.
Yeah,
So
because
almost
that
like
the Handmaid's Tale they can't, right? Like there was a disease, right? There was a reason that people couldn't have kids, so that's why the people that could became handmaids.
no, so the handmaids were that's sort of like a class-ish type of thing. So the wealthy women that could not conceive naturally
Yeah, that's what I'm
would
saying. Yeah.
then have a handmaid that would then be forced to conceive a child with their partner
Mhm. Yeah.
to then raise as their, well, they then had to raise that child, but the child was bared by the handmaid. But it wasn't due to a disease. It was more just, I think, again, a similar theme in terms of like government taking over. But theirs, it was more like religious based, whereas this isn't religious based at all. This is more just post-apocalyptic due to like limited resources, air, climate, etc. Whereas with The Handmaid's Tale, that deals more with just government overthrowing, trying to become more of a traditionalist society and more, I'm going to say like conservative and back to like conservative ideals of just procreating. Andrew's like, let me
Well, I
check
could
this.
have swore to God there was some sort of because every time I ask this question, I get different answers from everyone. So I'm just gonna Google it for myself finally, because I could have swore it was some sort of
Yeah, I thought there
like
was a reason that people couldn't,
yeah,
and then the people that could basically got thrown into the lower class because they um
like it was
uh,
an infertility epidemic or something.
yeah, that's what I thought
Right,
too. Um, and then yeah, and then the rich people that were infertile were able to take the poor people that yeah,
correct.
yeah,
But some of them weren't poor, as far as I'm concerned. Like Elizabeth Moss's character June was worked at like
Here
white
we
collar
go.
job. Well, what's
The
the reason
exact
behind that?
cause of the fertility crisis is never fully explained, but it's
Okay,
no,
fair.
implied to be a combination of factors, including environmental pollution, increased prevalence of sexually transmitted diseases, and societal changes like the sexual revolution. And Gilead, a theocratic regime, which basically means
yeah,
religion
Sure.
yeah,
and
Yeah,
government, blames the infertility crisis entirely on women, viewing them as barren or responsible for the decline in birth rates.
yeah,
So basically, it is like in the show, a key plot point reveals that the fertility crisis is not caused by women's eggs, but men's infertile sperm. So it's like a lie exposed. Um, Either way, yeah. So that's why I got a different answer every time I asked the question because it's never explained in the book
yeah,
or
and even that's a little confusing because then why would the handmaids work
if
if
it's a sperm thing.
yeah,
well, from what I recall,
Yeah, I
and
think you're right.
again, what?
So basically, it's like if it's the guy's fault, then why would the
the
handmaids
handmaids wouldn't help.
work?
It was
Like, yeah,
just
the independent variable is not the woman, it's the man. So it's like I'm almost like I'm going to try
So
to
the main
figure it
couple
out.
that they focus on, and are you okay if I shift the conversation to Handmaid real quick?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So Kevin, you've seen Handmaids?
Yeah, I've seen up until like season 5, I
Okay.
think, 4 or
So I'm
5.
just gonna recall Serena
Hmm.
and Fred. We find out that
Yeah.
Fred is infertile, but because, and they show flashbacks of this, I think in later seasons, Serena was somehow, I think, involved in like, I think she might have been an attorney or something like prior to
Yeah,
Gilead,
yeah, she was
but she was
something.
shot in the stomach. So because she was shot in the stomach and had like a massive bleeding episode, she was believed that she could not conceive. Last season, season 5, I believe, she does get pregnant.
Serena does?
Yes. So this kind of just, but in season 1 or maybe 2, remember June is raped by Fred several times and she can't get pregnant, but
She sleeps with
she gets
that guy,
Nick,
yeah.
who is played by Max Minghella. Yeah, and it ends up being their child. So yeah, it's a combination of things. I think it varies from family to family because they did show women pregnant that were part of like that upper class. Those women, like
Well,
some women are bearing,
yeah, and to be fair,
not all.
I think probably not all men were infertile, right? It's not all men that are infertile, it's just most. And then there were men
Sure,
taking advantage of the situation to
correct. And then
have
sleeping with
exactly.
house, yeah, with
Yeah.
handmaids. So
So,
correct.
yeah.
So it's, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't know about like environmental stuff. I just know that there's a decline in birth rate and they're changing things over to like
Yeah.
a Christian regime, so they say, right? And when it comes to June, which is played by main character played by
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Moss.
Moss, she has already had a child, so they knew this. They snatched her along with Alexis Bledel's character, um, the character Janine, who only has one
Yeah.
eye. Madeline Brewer, I think, is the actress's
Actress's name.
name, and then I can't think of her name, the black actress who ends up becoming like a gypsy, like sex worker at one point. She starts off as a handmaid, and then she flees, she becomes a sex worker, and then goes to Canada and is
I
able to
don't
escape.
remember which one that is. The one,
I forgot
yeah.
her name. They're all friends. They meet in like the handmaid headquarters.
Yeah, I do remember that. I can't
But all
picture her for
those
some reason.
women were already moms to at least one or two kids. Her name is Samira Wiley. She plays Moira. That's her name. So yeah, and then so Alexis Bledel, she plays off Glenn, but her real name or her non-handmaid name is Emily. And then Janine, but Serena Joy, who is like the first wife and family
Hmm.
that Elizabeth Moss's character June goes to, she can't you're under these well she's been told she can't get pregnant because and you find out like later seasons because she gets shot in the stomach. Like you see that happen, but then she ends up conceiving and I forgot if it's Fred who ends up like I think it is Fred. They end up having a child after years of being told they can't have kids. So, which is pretty wild and that goes outside of the first season, which apparently after that it's like full creative license because the book itself is only based on season 1. So, anyway, going back to the assessment here, sorry, I went on this tangent. It's the complete opposite. They want to minimize and they prefer a decline because they're coming up with medicine too. I'd like to add that helps prolong the life. So Minnie Driver's character, who's at that dinner, she's like well over 100 years old and she looks like she's in her 40s or 50s.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
interesting too because if dude works in AI, AI uses a spectacular amount of resources.
hmm
And I mean, I imagine in the future we'll figure out how to lessen that. But
sure,
when you think about resources that are being used, AI uses a ton of resources.
right.
So if you're trying to save resources but use more AI, you got to have less people. Make those people live longer, and yeah, it kind of makes sense. So yeah,
Yeah. So. they don't really go into detail of like ages for the couple per se, but you know that they want to have a child, and this is just it, like if they were to try to have a child, I don't know if they're allowed to or if they even can, if there's like almost like a device put in them where they can't have a kid, but it's just not allowed. So, but yeah, it was definitely a fascinating movie. I couldn't help but think how I think topical it can be, given that people will often like ha raise the argument, oh, there's too many people in this world. We need to, decide to have less kids, population decline in order to save our resources. That's a common
Yep.
point of conversation and
The
such. And
Earth is finite.
Thomas Robert Malthus, 1798. It's called a Malthusian philosophy. We even saw it in Marvel. Can
Mhm.
anyone tell me who the Malthusian was in the Marvel universe?
Thanos.
Thanos. So
Thanos.
yeah. hmm
So
Very
yeah,
cool. I'm intrigued. I want to see how deranged Alicia Vikander
Mrs.
gets.
Michael Fassbender.
Oh, is that
yes,
nice?
that's that they're married.
Good for
Yep.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
Wasn't she
definitely,
Tomb Runner or something like that, or
yeah,
wasn't
she
it
was
called
Tomb
yeah,
Raider. She
Tomb
was Tomb Raider,
Raider.
Tomb Raider?
which
Yeah.
which is a movie that got a bad rap, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't great, but it felt like the video game, so I enjoyed it. I thought it was more grounded than the Angelina Jolie ones, which were just they were fun, but not great. It's kind of like when I talked about the Fountain of Youth last week. Um, Fun, but not necessarily great. Like not, you know, definitely could have been better, but the Vikander one was more grounded and didn't do as well. So it depends on what people want to see. So okay, cool. Well, I'm definitely curious about it. I think I'll go watch it. So I have Apple TV, so I don't have to pay for it, which makes me happy. But speaking of things that I did have to pay for, I got Sinners. It's out available. You can purchase it. It's not streaming anywhere yet. So if you want to watch it, you missed it in the theaters. Go spend the money. It's worth it. I think even before I get into the movie, when I finished it, I went to the special features that come along with it, and they had the little making of bit with Coogler and then everybody involved, obviously, and you can see why this movie worked. I mean, even if you watch the making of without context, you can see how number one, he talks about how the inspiration came from an old blues song about all the it wasn't monsters, but basically all the troublemakers got together one night to have a party in the deep South, right? Well, that's what the movie is, right? All the little troublemakers, like the twins, Stack and Smoke. They're bad boys, they're not innocent by any stretch. They're sinners, right? And so they got together, they had their party, and it went to hell, right? Like, and I guess Ryan Coogler wrote this movie in 2 months. He
Wow.
gave himself a deadline to write it in 2 months. After he heard this song, he did it in 2 months. He got his people together, and as you watch just this making of, I mean, you can see that every person involved with this absolutely loves working with him, loves the way that he makes movies, and they fall into that like a family of people making these movies. So he even said he's like it was moving along fine. Like we were doing a good job. We knew what we wanted to do. As soon as Michael B. Jordan came on, they're like we had a star, like we had an actual bona fide movie star in this thing. So then it became bigger. Like it was this thing that they had to get right. It went kind of from a dream to being,
Legit.
yeah, and and it's just you watch these people. Was it Ludwig Van Gorenson? Is that his name? It was just
Ludwig.
yeah.
Ludwig.
He
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was actually on set. Like you don't have that. Like composers watch the movie afterwards, usually write the music involved, or they know about it and they write the music and then they work on it, whatever. Dude was on set. That
They
whole
were roommates, right? Like they're
yeah,
boys.
they go way
Yeah.
back, but like the whole like surreal scene where he's playing the guitar and you've got that they played the music from the actual score in that scene.
Oh,
So like
nice.
when they were filming it, so like they knew it was gone. I
The
mean, it's a trip.
choreography was on
It's
point. Yeah.
so, but it's so great to watch these people that not only love working with him, but love working with each other. So you're talking about the set designer and the costumer are communicating about their
Sure.
colors. And like, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, if you like the movie, it's almost worth the money to go get that for the
I'll
extra.
buy it now because I never saw the extras. So thank you for that. That's
There's
dope.
a good couple hours of extras on there, and then another 20 minutes of deleted scenes that I haven't got to yet.
Nice.
Um, so
Okay.
there's good stuff in there for sure. Like it's worth buying. So, but
What
yeah, I
service
mean,
did you buy it from? If
I got it on
what
Apple. I got it on
okay.
Apple.
Thank you.
Um, but man, it's a good flick. It's a trip because like in the beginning it feels a little slow because they're kind of setting everything up. I don't have a problem with that. Like it definitely like you have almost two films. You have the whole setup of the world they're in, who these guys are, the people they're involved with, how they kind of work among the town. And then once the party starts, once you get to about the midway point and the party's kicking off, then starts the second part. You really don't get to this whole vampire aesthetic thing until the second half of the film. And while that is definitely a driver for the movie, you know, it's definitely a significant part of the film. Uh, it's really not what the film is about, and it's hard to understand that until you watch it. Like, but man, it's so great, and that was the other thing in the making of. They talked about having Buddy Guy at the end and how he played. They said they were worried about having him in the movie because of their filming hours were just so long, and they were working at night a lot of the time. And Buddy Guy is 88 years old. He is not a young man. And they said not only was he an absolute trooper and just kicked ass the whole time, but one night at the end of filming for the day, he picked up his guitar and basically put on a concert for the whole crew. Like so, he was totally into it. Um, and man, and listening to the music, I was like, dude, I need to throw a couple Buddy Guy albums into my mix. Like I miss blues guitar music, blues music. It's so good. And and this is a love letter to blues music. It's a love letter to
Yes.
the South for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny because there are some language issues that in modern films definitely feel more um um I don't know what's the word I'm looking for? They're definitely more ghetto is the wrong word, but they're dropping the N bomb a lot. You know, we talked about how I forget what movie you were talking about, but they said it so much. Oh, the one with Jeffrey Wright, where he was the author. Remember? Um,
That one and definitely actually the you people I just felt was completely unnecessary.
yeah.
But either way, yeah, uh-huh.
And when they use that terminology, when they use that language in this film,
Hmm.
you can tell it's from a point where they're still actively really trying to take that back, right? Because I mean, some of them are still working on plantations, like they're still sharecroppers, they're still, they're not slaves anymore, obviously, but that's
It's Jim Crow. And
yeah.
and absolutely and the movie was realistic in that, you know, you could like the argument was a valid argument. If I was there, the option to become a vampire is actually not an illogical choice because, you know, I forget the vampire's name, but the Irish dude, like he was like, dude, this is dumb. And I'm Irish. I know what it's like to be fucked with by the Brits.
Mhm.
So come join our happy family, you
Even
know?
even in the U.S., so during the turn of the century, like right before the turn of the century, the Irish were primarily in Chicago. That's I don't know for whatever reason, like that's where they kind of ended up moving. The Italians kind of stayed East Coast, Irish moved further in. But of
Boston
all
though,
the
right? They were Boston too. I think
yes,
Boston's
Boston too,
pretty
for
Irish,
sure, for
but
sure.
yeah.
Um, but in a lot of places, like they were seen as the lower class. I mean, they were all white, but they were the lower class white people. Like they took a lot of crap, and so there was a lot of Irish people that when slavery was abolished and black people were struggling to fight back, Irish were like, we already went through that. Why should we feel bad for you? And
If
you're
anything, they were actually helping. I
in some
think that
cases, but there were
America basically we're all white now. So
yeah,
I think that's the difference. If you are white in America, there's no longer, yeah, maybe like the WASP won't respect you, but as far as I'm concerned, even the poor whites, I'm white. So,
yeah,
that's why Boston is known still to this day as a pretty segregated racist city. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just saying. So like, but I think again, this vampire comes from like I think the 13 or 1500s or something like
yeah.
that. Like
He's been around
something
for a
like
long time.
Our Father or who art in heaven. He's basically saying they thrust this on us and whatever. Like because he's going back to like Druid shit. Like that's where he's from.
Yeah.
So but yeah, but to your point though, it's I think that the movie does a very good job of taking you into that world where literally, 'cause I saw it for the second time, it was even better for me the second time, where Buddy Guy, no, it was Stack, which yeah, Stack says to him like that was like no, it was Buddy. Buddy says that was the best night of my life, you
Yeah, yeah.
know?
They talk about just the day before, like
Yeah,
up
everything
until
up
the
until
party.
like yeah. And that's the thing. It's like something so simple being a beautiful thing though, I think says it all as far as like what life was like back then. But then going back to what you just said, I think what Ryan Coogler has is something special. I do think that when you're able to assemble that much talent to then be excellent, whether you're Ludwig, whether you're Ruthie Carter, both Oscar winners, whether you're Michael B. Jordan, who is like, he's a pretty big deal, and you got even Haley Steinfeld, who's a rising star, and everyone, and then you got like a blues legend like Buddy Guy, who's so into it, he's giving you guys a free concert like on set, and he's 88 years old. That's special.
Yeah.
And again, for Coogler to have a track record, to have five consecutive films, for one of them not his, like he was producer, but like five films, all progressively. Well, no, I think this one didn't do as good as the Black Panther movies, but still, they're all like he hit them all. Every single one of them is a hit in some way, shape, or
Well,
form.
and like the Black Panther movies they're established in a universe that has fans. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna Sinners is its own thing. This is his little baby. Like he did this thing. Even Creed, even that like that was
And
had a
Fruitvale.
franchise from
Oh, right.
beforehand.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes.
so Fruitvale Station, yes, was kind of his own thing, right? Like, but it was a
Yeah,
story people knew. Sinners is created from nothing. This is
me.
created from his
Yeah,
mind,
yeah,
and to see it do as well as it did is amazing. And when you watch the making of, like they talk about, they're like there aren't directors that look like this man doing what he is doing right now. What he is able to do is amazing. They shot this film on IMAX. They talk about the effort that goes into that. The Asian actor, the woman, her name is Lee something Lee. I can't remember the middle name. She's great in the movie. But she talks about she's like there was something kind of special about shooting in IMAX when you're doing a film that's set in the 30s, because in the 30s when they were recording, the cameras were loud. Like you could hear the cameras rolling. They would click, click. Well, the IMAX camera is also exceptionally loud. So she's like it actually made it feel even more like you were in the 30s because you had that camera noise. Like it actually for her, she's like that put me into the scene than anything else. And then Haley Steinfeld talked about just the amount of work that they put in. And it was cool to watch this special, this making of, because even more so, it looked so authentic. The costuming, everything that they did, like it felt like they built an entire town for this thing. It just felt so real. And Haley Steinfeld said that she felt it the most when she went to set on her days off, when she could just walk around the sets and be around the people and all the stuff that was going on. And she said, like, she just fell into this world because they did such a good job building this thing up. And I thought her part was great too because it wasn't anything she's ever done before. Like
no.
for her as an actress, I feel like this was a stretch. Like there was, she had some adult language. Like she was not the sweetest girl on the block, right?
Ew.
Um, and it was like sometimes she said some words and I was like, Haley, no. I was like, you're a bad girl.
I still think
Um,
the craziest scene for me, because I saw it with Saloni this past Saturday or Sunday. that craziest scene was when she's like, "Why are you drooling?" Because apparently, like when she's all vampired out,
Yeah,
the vampires
yeah,
are a little crazy, and then
yeah,
of course what happens with the
yeah,
drool. That was even Slutty was like, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, that happened." But anyway,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like gross.
Yeah. It's
Um,
but man, it's just so good. And then like I said, the music is great. Like the way that they integrate blues, and then the couple of cuts of Irish music that they do are great.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, this is it's a movie that's got everything,
yeah.
like it's
Even the Choctaw Indians, man. That's if
yeah.
they do a spin-off, like I mean, he doesn't want to, but
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
people are all like, "Yeah, we want to find out about them. Like, we want to
Yeah.
know what they did. Like, maybe it's a prequel that leads up to like when Remick is like running from them.
Yeah.
Remick is his name.
Yeah.
Miles Caton or Catton, I'm not sure how you say his last name. But I will be shocked if he's not nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
That was his very
Very
first
first
role
role. They talk about his
ever.
audition process in that too. They open that up to like the world. They got so many auditions. And this kid sent his audition. They were laughing. They're like, he sent it in. It looked like he recorded it in his basement. The lighting was terrible. They're like, but what they were like for everything that Ryan Coogler cast, he knew he wanted this particular character to look young but to sound old. He had
Uh,
to have that old like like weathered like was it what's I'm looking for a specific phrase that I can't get like when you're older than you sound, wiser than
Old
your
Soul?
years. Yeah, yeah, they wanted an old
Old
soul.
Soul voice.
And so when this kid sent the tape in, he was watching it with his producer, and they were like, "That's the guy. Like that is the guy." And he was the guy. He was awesome. Um, and he really was. He was so good and like so sweet.
Yeah.
Like plus like especially when you watch him in the in this making of thing too, like he's dressed in more modern clothes, and you're like, oh, this kid's gonna make it. Like he's got a look that's gonna work in modern film too. Like he's not just, you
The
know,
one note, one
yeah,
act, like one trick pony.
yeah. And he didn't even play guitar before he got cast. So like he learned to play guitar for
What?
this movie.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, that's awesome. Like this kid's dope. So he's going places. I think he'll be in something again soon. I wouldn't be surprised if Coogler uses him in something again pretty soon.
Coogler tends to use, like, I think he tends to use a lot of the same people. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Delroy Lindo, 72. Damn. He
Dude,
was,
yeah, every time he came on screen, I was like, dude, when did he stop aging? Like that dude is an actual vampire. Like
right?
Delroy Lindo hasn't aged in like
He
40
looks the
years.
same. He looks the same.
Yeah.
Come get me. No,
Yeah.
but Lee Jun Lee was the name of the
Lee
film we were
Junlei,
talking
yeah.
about. I again, I love the. Okay, so last thing I'll say is there's so many like we scratched the surface of this. Like there's
Oh
so many
yeah.
allegories in terms of what's going on in the movie. But one thing I didn't say on the last show, but I will say on this show, is there are some theories that some of the characters represented different sins. So, for
Oh,
example, Perline represented lust. And I know that
I can see
Drew
that.
Walsh was singing at one point when that's when like the party starting to go like weird. Like she's slinking across stage
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
singing lust. Stack? No, not Stack. Smoke. Smoke is actually pride, but whatever,
Okay.
cool. I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
with what happened in the end. It was very satisfying for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Um, then there was Wrath, and Wrath was definitely Lee Jun Lee. Come on in,
Yeah.
motherfucker! She
She's
just like
dope.
doomed everybody.
Yeah.
Greed definitely Stack. Gluttony was the guy, Cornbread, I think, was at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was funny.
I love that
Um,
guy. He's always great.
and then Envy. I don't know. I see two envies. I see one is actually oh God, I forget her name, but it's Haley Steinfeld's character.
Yeah, I
But
could see that for
but
sure.
you can see that, okay. And envy could also be Sammy because
Yeah, I could see that
he
too.
wanted what this the freedom that Smoke and Stack had.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, but that's just again we just I'm glad you liked it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
again, for me, my two favorite movies of the decade so far are Dune 2 and this one.
Yeah.
So,
And I
which
think
you probably still haven't seen, right? Dune 2
I
still?
haven't. I need to.
Yeah.
I also loved just Smoke's last scene too. Like, I don't want to spoil that for anybody who doesn't know about it, doesn't know what's coming, but it's dope. Like, it is.
And I
Dude's
didn't
great.
even notice this until the second time I saw it. I don't know if you noticed, like when I do
Yeah.
this, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that the first time. When I saw it the second time, I'm like, oh, he knew what he was doing,
Hmm.
And that was just like, and at first I was like, plot armor, plot armor, plot armor. Okay, cool, good. Because I'm saying like, there's no way you're like all that's like not hit yet. No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways.
And the girl, his girl,
Unmi,
um, y-
Musaku and she's been in a lot of stuff. Like
yeah,
she
she's
was
been
in
around. Yeah.
Lovecraft Country, she was in
Hmm.
Loki. She was actually in not Man of Steel, she was actually in BVS. That's a throwback.
Interesting.
She was in the courtroom and she was talking about like how like that whole village was destroyed in the beginning. That Lex set up. But anyway, that was the first time we saw her
Yeah.
in anywhere. But her name in the movie was hold
I
on.
just saw. Yeah. Annie.
Annie.
Yeah. She's British. She's got a British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hides it well. Um, but yeah,
She does.
it's just yeah, like you said, we kind of scratched the surface. Like it's a movie that it's just you don't want to spoil. You definitely want people to go
No,
into it
it's
and
best to
watch it.
go in without knowing anything.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, just experience it. Um, be okay with the world being set up in the beginning, and just kind of
Just
I don't
go
know, man.
through.
Just kind of live in it. Like
Yes.
it's great that like I think there's something magical about the moments between the brothers and Sammy when they're just in the car together. That scene where Sammy first plays the song, and dude's just like, "You're fucking amazing!" Like it's so great, and just like,
Stack can't believe it. He's like, yeah.
yeah, it's so special. And then there's so many great moments like that in there, um, and just see these guys kind of trying to come back and trying to live their life, but they're as the title says, they're sinners. Like their life is not going to be clean and easy. But they're trying to come back from the life they had in Chicago
Chicago, Al Capone,
and
and
build off that. Yeah, working with Capone and all that. So, but man, it's a must watch. This that came out this year, right?
oh yeah, April 18th. It
So
came out on Good Friday.
I have to assume we're seeing that come award season
Oh
in
yeah.
a lot of categories. But it's fantastic. Like you've got to see it. You've got to just experience it. And like I said, go get the soundtrack, man. The music in that show is fantastic. And listen to Buddy Guy at the end if you like him at all. Go download some Buddy Guy music. Go download some, any good old fashioned blues guitar player. Get some BB King in there. Like it's good stuff. Muddy Waters, all that stuff. It's good stuff. So, all
Glad you
right.
liked it, man.
Yeah, I loved it.
That makes
Loved it.
me
I
happy.
definitely got to watch it again because I,
Yeah.
uh, I purchased it and I think I'll watch it a few more times because I think it's pretty awesome. So
All
cool,
right.
cool.
I'll bid you all farewell. Have a good rest of the show.
Yeah, get some sleep.
Thanks.
All right. And then there were two. So I will let you close out the show because I don't have anything else. But you just saw Floyd Collins on Broadway.
I did. And sticking with the theme of bluegrass and folk, I saw Floyd Collins at the Vivian Beaumont Theater, which is in located in Lincoln Center last night. And this is a show I've been wanting to see for at least a month or two now. It stars Jeremy Jordan, who is a pretty well-known actor in the Broadway world. He started off within the past 15 years or so in Rock of Ages and then was nominated for his role in the Newsies. He was also in Little Shop of Horrors, The Great Gatsby, and is now playing Floyd Collins in Floyd Collins. Now,
He's done
Floyd
some
Collins,
TV, right?
and
I
he's also
recognize
been
him.
on TV too.
Okay,
Yeah,
I recognize him. Okay,
very good looking guy.
yeah.
So he, this play, well, it's a musical, is based on a true story. about a guy named Floyd Collins who was trapped in caverns for 15 days down in Kentucky back in 1925. And the town tries numerous ways. His family members, he's got uh, a brother, Homer, and a sister, Nellie, father, and the townspeople are trying to get him out. While he's exploring the caverns and yodeling, doing his thing, he ends up getting trapped within the cavern, and a massive boulder pins one of his legs, basically where he cannot move. And he gets found in the caverns and they're trying to figure out how do we get him up and out. At one point, they put a harness on him, but Jeremy Jordan's character, like in the first song, you see him exploring the caverns, and this is a flat stage, but the stage is almost like semicircular. So where my friend and I were sitting, we got to see quite a bit. We were very close to the stage, and we were on one side, but it's just like a flat black surface, and different parts of the floor will rise up. So you feel like you're in the cavern
Mm.
and he's climbing and sliding down parts of the stage that rise up. And he's even going down a rope at one point. He's suspended up in the air. So it makes you try to visualize like what is it like being in the cave itself. And then this one part of the stage rises out and it looks almost like an electric chair. And that's supposed to be like where he was trapped in and pinned. So once he lands on that by like the second or third song, he remains there the rest of the show. So he is just sitting in this chair, like state, singing the rest of the Broadway play, and only will get out of his chair when he's recalling a flashback or like he's trying to, visualize what life's like, seeing his sister again, etc. But he's in that chair. And it's definitely impressive because he has to sit for like a very long time, like over an hour, just sitting there and singing. And a lot of the songs, he's just, the spotlight is off of him and he just has to sit there still while other things are going on the stage. So the rest of the stage is supposed to be above ground, and him to the side is below ground.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get to him, and a few characters get to him, but they can't pull him out. And unfortunately, he tragically dies. But this is well, at least nationwide news, one of the first nationwide stories via the radio. So it was pretty significant in that sense. People drove out of state and hundreds of miles to go and try to accompany those that were trying to rescue him. And there were almost like carnivals and different events that were happening right above and outside of this cavern above ground. And it definitely was a newsworthy story that for a very long time, at least in like 1925, was a huge focus point because people had never heard of something like this. And it reflects just how news will travel very quickly when you have the outlets and the technology to do so.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they turn into a musical. The music's beautiful. There's yodeling and such. So that was pretty cool hearing the yodeling and then having the echoes come up. Obviously, that's pre-recorded with the
Yeah. Yeah.
echoes and such, but still very cool. The show itself, I thought it was a bit slow moving, to be honest with you. I wasn't like the most, I think, focused and engaged, but I think in terms of like telling the story of what happened to this guy, I thought it was well done. The songs themselves, they're okay. I think it would have been fine just as a play versus a musical, personally. The stage design was very cool, just how they made this look like a cavern, and everyone was all dirty and put in like you felt like you were back in time in the 1920s with just the overalls, the fashion. They're really just bringing you back. And it reminded me a little bit of just a few movies where they have the mines. I think of October Sky, if you've seen that
Mm-hmm.
with Jake Gyllenhaal, just how you see those like dirty cheeks and workers' clothing, very blue collar, and that's sort of what this town was. So I think they did a good job of that. And yeah, it's up for Best Revival. So it started off actually off Broadway in 1996. And the director and person who wrote the book of Floyd Collins, Tina Landau, she also wrote Redwood, which I saw within the
Mm-hmm.
past 2 months too. So she has at least a number of past works that she's done too that have made it to Broadway. But it was off Broadway in 1996, and I think they had it touring for a while. I know it came to Philadelphia for a bit, but this is the first time it's actually on Broadway in New York City.
That's crazy if it came out in 96 and this is the first time it was on Broadway.
It was
Um,
off Broadway in
yeah,
96.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I love true stories, and I think that um, having the opportunity to tell them in a format like this is really great. If the music is great, like, do you think is it closer to an opera where if you listen to the soundtrack you can get the story, or do you really need to see it to really get the whole story?
I think you need to see it.
Yeah,
You're
that's too
not going to
bad because like,
understand what's happening just by listening to the music. The music's fine. Like the voices are beautiful. I don't think, I mean, I was listening to some of the music today and I didn't get the same feel like I did when I was listening to the soundtrack of The Outsiders, which I feel
mhm.
like there's some real bangers and like real hits out of that. Whereas this, I'm like, I don't know. It didn't really hit for me in that sense. I think it was a good story. I think would have served better as a play. I did think the yodeling was cool and how the stage design was in order to really visualize and or at least create to the audience member's imagination what it would have been like when he was stuck in the cavern. But yeah, I definitely found like certain parts of the play I was like thinking like, is this almost done?
Yeah,
Does he die? Does he not die? Because I assumed I'm like, I think he lives, right? Like, I mean, this is pretty tragic. Like, who would write a play about someone who dies? Yep, he dies.
yeah, it's
Spoiler,
it's more
sorry.
it's more about the newsworthiness of it than it is about it being necessarily a happy story.
Right, and also just Jeremy Jordan's character, just I think he has to accept like this is his fate and he's gonna die down there. And that's
Yeah,
pretty tragic and sad too. Like his like final song of him just, essentially like saying goodbye to the world and like bye, it's been real. I'm down here, gone. And they try to get him out. There's one point they put a harness on him and they try to pull him. They're like, you're gonna be without a leg. Sorry. And I think he just was in so much pain. He's like, just stop. I don't want to do this, live this life. So yeah, unfortunately they couldn't get him out. I mean, they had different ideas. They're like, they had an engineer say, why don't we just put dynamite and just blow it off? And they're like, no, you might like actually just kill him that way. Like there wasn't a really, I feel like, viable solution unfortunately, and
yeah.
based on
And
how the boulder was
1925,
placed.
we didn't have science to like, really go deep into this like we could have.
Right.
Um,
I thought it was going to be more of like do you remember? I can't think of the name. Like James Franco was in a movie
mhm.
about a guy who got stuck in like Grand Canyon or something like that, and he had to essentially cut off his own arm. So I thought it was going to be more like that. Oh, this guy's going to survive and maybe cut off his leg or something's going to happen. Nope, dies down there.
Yeah,
So after 15 days, and I don't know, but yeah, I think like you said, it's more the newsworthiness of just how things spread, but also just I got and it definitely was this, almost like people were thriving off of this news story
oh,
to
for
go
sure, the
party and hang.
sensationalism. Yeah,
Yeah, the sensationalism and the whole thing. It's just like there's a man down there who's struggling, who's like becoming, I mean, he's not really eating and I mean, he lived for 15 days, exhaustion and I think like malnourishment, et cetera. And you people are like having a carnival above ground and like you said, sensationalizing everyone's visiting. It kind of shows like the downside of news, unfortunately, and how it travels and how people I think it doesn't bring out the best in people is what I'm
yeah,
trying to say.
yep, for sure. And,
So
and we see that even today. If people can
100%.
capitalize on something, they will, and even at somebody else's expense. So
And that's exactly what happens here. Even like the brother, they're like, "Hey, you look like you'd be great for Hollywood. Do you want to tape a commercial?" And even he's like, "Yeah, like great opportunity, but my brother's dying right now."
Yeah.
At one point, it's bizarre in that sense.
And you
But
know those producers would have been like, "Yeah, you're great for this," but as soon as the tragedy's over, they're like, we don't need you
we don't
anymore
want you
because
anymore. Who
yeah,
knows? But yeah, you'd be great for Hollywood type of thing, and
yeah.
almost like building him up, thinking like, "Wow, could I go to Hollywood?" But my brother's dying, and he's in the cavern. Just yeah, the downside to certain types of media and how unfortunately it brings out the greed and brings out the worst in people. So it covers that. So I don't know, throughout the show, I was just like my friend, I'm like, he's gonna live. He's gonna live. I'm pretty sure he lives. And then he dies. I was like, sorry, I think he dies. And then you just see, I was like, I don't know how this guy's gonna live. It's been 15 days. And then you see him like start to lose it, having hallucinations, as I'm sure you could
Oh
imagine,
yeah.
being in that type of state. Uh, but yeah, Jeremy Jordan, yeah, he's got a phenomenal voice. We'll see if he wins Best Actor. The Tonys are tomorrow. He is up for
Oh cool.
Best Leading Actor in a Play, and yeah, we shall see. And Floyd Collins is up for Best
Revival.
Revival of
Yeah.
a Play. So yeah, good, not great, good stage design, and
Yeah.
I think the yodeling was cool. If you're into like real life stories, fine. Also, it's been on my bucket list and I have been to Lincoln Center before, but only to see like an opera and Shenyun, which is, Shenyun, the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
traditional Chinese dance. I've never seen a Broadway show. And the Vivian Beaumont is like one of the buildings in that Lincoln Center that has, or at least that's where they have Broadway shows. So that's been like on my list of things. And they'll have a show every like couple months. And since I moved to the city, I'm like, I want to see a Broadway show there. And I just never got a chance, or I couldn't get tickets in time, or to, in my opinion, like the price I wanted to pay. But yeah, this was an opportunity for me to be like, let me see a Broadway show, not in the main theater district, but in Lincoln Center. So that was cool. Just even the whole setup of like the semicircle stage and everyone sitting. It's a very intimate setting where you're just so close. You're almost like you feel like you're a part of it,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah, I do like that. And I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of Broadway special effects in general. So like great set design and great mechanics on stage are amazing. Like the things they do
Yeah,
in Wicked are just kind of off the charts cool.
yeah.
Did you ever see Titanic when it was in town?
No,
Uh,
I haven't.
I actually really like Titanic the musical. It's nothing like the movie.
Sure.
You've got all your main players that were aboard the Titanic and all that. But what they do is the whole first act is, everything's fine, right? The act break is when they hit the iceberg. And in the second act, the entire stage starts to tilt through the whole thing. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and so like the entire stage at one point is almost vertical rather than horizontal. It's really neat, and I think and
Where'd you see this, Kevin?
I saw it in San Francisco actually,
Oh, in San Francisco.
but
Okay.
it opened in New York. It was on Broadway. It might have been up for or might have even won Best Musical. It must
Interesting.
have been. It was late '90s when it was out. So,
Oh,
um, but
yeah.
it's a fun show. It's really good. Um, and but yeah, like even I remember. When you see like Phantom of the Opera and you've got this moment where they're standing in front of a mirror and they see themselves in the mirror and then all of a sudden themselves in the mirror does something different. And like special effects on stage to me are so much more mind-blowing than special effects in movies because it's happening
Totally.
right in front of you and it's still a
Yeah.
trip. It's like going to a magic show where you can't explain what's happening and it's still amazing.
Right.
So like set design and special effects in theater is always just awesome to
Yeah.
me.
I think it was more at the beginning when you see him climbing through and like 'cause it's almost like it's like a dark black concrete situation, but different parts of the stage are rising. So he's sliding down. One of them's like a slide. And then another one, it like just rises up and then you see like these little bolts come out and he's climbing. And then from the ceiling, above there's a rope and he just starts going down the rope as if like he's actually in the cavern. So I was like, that was pretty cool. And he's doing this while he's singing, which is cool. Visually, I think I know I spoke about this a few months ago, but Redwood was super cool
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
stage and how she was dangling from the redwood tree. That was really, I think, out of all the shows I've seen probably in the past few years, visually like the coolest set design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Redwood.
Yeah. I think people don't understand. Like you have your traditional shows where people are just on stage, right? And they're just moving around,
Yep.
and those are great. Like I think something like one of the shows I love is Ragtime, but a lot of that happens,
Coming back, by the
moving.
way, this
Is it
fall
really?
to Broadway. Yeah, I'll send you the deets
Oh,
later.
oh,
I thought of
yeah.
you when I saw that. I was like, Kevin's gonna be super stoked.
Yeah, I've got to get to. That's probably my favorite music ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are kind of moving, laterally around the stage, right? So, but people don't understand. Like, if you do a show that's crazy, like Wicked, that's like this dude's climbing in a cave, that Titanic, where they're starting to move sideways, like
Yep.
these people still have to sing. Like, singing is not easy.
Nope.
You got to sing from down, and people will never understand too. Dude sitting in a chair and singing, that is a lot harder than standing up and singing.
So I was listening to an interview because, of course, I go on my little YouTube
Hmm.
rabbit holes after I watch a show. And he said it was hard because he had to focus so much, especially being there, sitting there, and especially in the second act, he barely gets up for like an hour. And just being able to, he says it's nice because he's able to really focus on the song and it's less to multitask, but yeah, it definitely is almost like a different type of test for your
Yeah,
body
yeah,
just sitting there for that long. And it's like he's in a dentist chair. I call it like it looked like an electric chair if you pull it up. If you type in like Jeremy Jordan, Floyd Collins in chair, that's supposed to be like the position he's in when he gets pinned down by that and trapped in the cavern. So he's just sitting there, and yeah, it's pretty wild just how they have that set up. But I don't know. I'd be so uncomfortable in that position for so long, just sitting up that way. And
yeah,
they put like a pillow behind his head or something like that for support um, at one point too. And I think it's more just part of the story because people come to visit him. They have like a little crawl or like a little space where they can reach out and touch him from above. But no one's able to actually like get that boulder, that piece off of his leg. And yeah, pretty horrible, the whole story. It's scary and devastating too. It's just seeing how his family is reacting to all of this and how it affects them. The mother apparently had passed years prior, so it's the father and then his brother and sister. So, yeah, definitely a tragic story. And especially when he died, I was like, why'd they do this? Like, I'm looking for something a little bit more happy. And I was like, eh. The lanterns are cool too, just having them hold the lanterns in like the darkness of the
yeah,
theater. That's pretty awesome. I'm trying to think what else they did.
yeah. There's a lot of musicals. There's actually a lot of musicals that I like that don't necessarily have the happiest of endings.
Oh, for sure.
Ragtime, the ending isn't the happiest.
Yeah.
Um,
Cabaret.
Jekyll and Hyde, I love Jekyll and Hyde. The
Yeah.
ending of that is not the happiest. Like, there's definitely
Yeah.
like sometimes a good musical has a dark ending, and that's okay. But I think you do have to be ready for it. Like this I
Yeah.
like on paper this feels like, especially if you don't know the story, it feels like a show that would have a happy ending, like you would expect it to have a happy ending, like dude to get out of the
Sure.
cave and stuff. And um
Yeah, but like the fact that we know it's like a true story, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like read the whole story. I was like, oh, guy trapped in a cave in Kentucky in the mines, or like in the caverns, like cool, Not thinking like, oh, he died, and they were like, let's make a musical of how this guy died and suffocated to death, and like just talk about a very uncomfortable 15 days of your life. It's torture. He
yeah,
loses his mind. I mean, I'm sure it's like it's freezing down there and the air quality is not ideal. It's just there's soot and all these things. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think there was definitely a lot of like cool aspects of just the actual theater itself, the stage, how they had the stage rise and had him move around, especially in like his first song, which I think the second song of the entire show. That's like at least like a 4 or 5 minute song of him just climbing through the caverns and hearing him yodel and stuff, which you don't really hear on Broadway. Like you don't
Right,
associate
right.
things like Broadway and yodeling, but it was done in a very beautiful manner. And also just like bluegrass and Broadway, it's not very common either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's I don't know. I think it's gonna close in the next couple. I mean, it's interesting with like award season. Some things are closing. So I'm actually checking now because I'm curious.
I
Floyd
wonder
Collins
if it wins, if they would push their window a little
closes.
more.
So get this, it closes on the 22nd. So it's only got like a few weeks left.
Wow.
I think that was the other reason. I was like, oh, it's closing soon. I should see this. I mean, I felt the same way about, I mean, a lot of these shows, they don't run as long.
Yeah, they really
I
don't.
don't, and I don't know if it's just more or less like theater and they're meant to be short term. Like Gypsy, for example, I wasn't sure, but I just wanted, when I saw it, I think it was in February or March I saw it. But I was like, I've never seen Audra McDonald before, so I
She's
wanted to
so
see
awesome.
her in a show. Well, that's why I wanted to see it. I had seen Gypsy with my parents, no, my mom and my grandmother. I think it was in middle school. And normally I'm not like a show repeater. I don't like if I've seen a show years ago, I don't want to see it again. But I was like, okay, that was like 20 years ago and it's with Audra McDonald. So sometimes even just the person playing the main role can totally
Hmm.
change the show. And
For
also,
sure.
this is like a mainly black cast too. So that also was like, all right, this is another reason like to see a show. But normally, like if someone's like, hey, do you want to see Lion King or Wicked? I'm like, no, I saw it already. I
Yeah.
don't like to see things twice, with the only exception being, well, two exceptions actually. Mamma Mia, I saw 4 times, and Dear Evan Hansen, I saw
Mm.
twice, and that was both in 2020 before the pandemic. I loved it so much. But other than that, I am not a show repeater, just not my thing. I'm always like on to the next. I want to see something new. But yeah, it was interesting. Would I see it again? Absolutely not. But well, I can't. It's closing. So yeah, I definitely want to see more shows though in that theater. It's cool. But yeah, I'm looking right now at like the shows. There's so many of them that are like up for an award and they're closing in June, July. Like Othello is closing, the one with
It was Denzel, right?
Denzel and Jake Gyllenhaal, that's closing. This play, Purpose, closing. The Pirates one closing. I'm looking at all of these. John Proctor's The Villain, which is a new play, closing. Good Night and Good Luck, which is the
Hmm.
George Clooney one. It's closing. T Today was the last day
Yeah,
or last
that's on
night.
CNN now or HBO. Like you can actually watch it on
Tonight.
HBO. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on. So that's probably why they did that. But yeah, a lot of these they just last for a couple months and then that's it. Like the picture of Dorian Gray with Sarah Snook.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
her
Yeah.
name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Close it. I want to see it, but tickets go for like $400 or $500. It's
Jesus.
insane. That closes on June 29th. So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of good stuff though to see. I think The Outsiders is going to be running for a while. That was probably the best thing I've seen so far this year, The Outsiders, in terms of just so far for 2025. And granted, it came out last year, but that's not going anywhere. It's still ticket prices are still high. It's solid. And then oh yeah, Stephen Sondheim's Old Friends. That's with Jonathan Groff. That ends at the end of this month. That's a short run. There are a few things coming back. Mamma Mia is coming back. I'm probably not going to see it though because I've seen it 4 times and like why? But it's coming in August and only running for 2 months. But it's coming back to the Winter Garden Theater where it originated back in I guess early 2000s when it first came out. There's also Ragtime. Oh, Kevin, Ragtime's going to be at Lincoln Center at the Vivian Beaumont,
Oh, okay. Cool.
the theater
Cool.
I
Cool.
just saw Floyd Collins. So that's another reason to go see it because it's in Lincoln Center and Lincoln Center is awesome. So that's pretty cool. Uh, Kristen Chenoweth is returning to Broadway in October in The Queen of Versailles, which I think is a new show. And then I've never seen it, but it's been on my list. But Beetlejuice has come back for I think like a third time now.
Oh, nice.
So, and everyone that I know has seen Beetlejuice, the musical, says it's good.
Really. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've heard good things.
I don't know if it's because it's Halloween and they're doing it and they're gonna make it a regular thing. This is like the third time I think in the past like 5, 10 years it's been on
Yeah.
Broadway. So it might be just like a regular occurring thing. And then other than that, next year. It's usually between like March and June is where like all the new Broadway shows or all the revivals, because it's like in preparation for award season. So lots to look forward to on the Broadway side. Yeah, but other than that, that's all I have for this evening.
Yeah, cool. I don't have anything else. I don't know. I don't know what's coming up in the next week. I know I'm going to struggle to watch stuff. I got to find time because Love Island is back and it's garbage television, and I'm going to watch the living hell out of it. The USA version has been out since last week. The
So
UK
funny.
version comes back, and the UK version launches in the UK tomorrow and comes back to the US a week or two after that. So I've got a ton of trash television to watch that I love. I also, for anybody that loves home renovation shows, the I've always enjoyed the show Rock the Block. It's like a quick 6 episode summer series that they do, and they take various like HGTV stars and they put them
Hmm,
into a neighborhood with four
cool.
houses, and they team up with two people, and the whole goal is to you get basically a brand new house that has nothing done to it, and then they renovate that house into like crazy
Something,
awesome
sh
homes,
yeah.
like, and then each week somebody wins, and then there's an ultimate winner at the end, and then those whole
Cool.
houses just go on the market. Like, yeah, I don't even know if you win money. I think you just win credit, like kind of street cred, right?
Street
Because
cred.
because they're already stars on the network. Um,
And that's on HGTV?
I believe it was HGTV. If you have HBO, you can catch it on HBO,
Oh,
because all
cool.
that stuff is on HBO, part of HBO now. But there was a couple this year that was on. They're the Kalamas. They're from Hawaii,
Hmm.
and so I really liked them, and so I went and caught their show on HBO. It's called Renovation Aloha. They do all their work on the Hawaiian Islands,
Oh,
and
nice.
um, and they're really great. Like they're a married couple. They have at least for TV, they have a great relationship. I don't know about their personal life, but I assume it's great also. And their whole deal is that they are Hawaiian. They've lived on the island their whole lives. I think they're both half Hawaiian or something like that. They're not, necessarily full-blooded, but they live that life, and they've lived that life for, down the line. And so their thing is to take homes that they're renovating, and obviously their goal is to make money, right? Like you want to make money if you're doing this stuff, but they also try to respect the community. They try to make these homes livable. They understand the community there in a way that somebody, like, if I went there and renovated a home, I wouldn't, have the same knowledge. And so it's really neat to see them do this stuff in respect to Hawaii and understanding of, the Hawaiian culture and the way that people live now in Hawaii. So you'll see a home where they're like, okay, this home is this big, but it should be a multi-generation home. Like it should have two living spaces, really, because in Hawaii, a lot of families live, two generations in a household. Like you have the parents and the grandparents living together and things like that. But they really try to do a great job, and that they prefer to sell to people that are in the area already, they're looking to move in. They're not trying to bring people in from outside and kind of water down the Hawaiian, like, population. Like the idea is they want to make this more livable for people around there. It's a really just it's a nice show. If you like the home renovation shows, it's great. And another one that's a lot of fun that's new right now. It's called Castle Impossible, and it's a couple that this girl, her grandfather passed away, and he owned a chateau in France. And so he left it to her. It's crazy expensive. Like they had like $1 million in taxes alone when she inherited it. And so the option was either sell it or try to renovate it. And what they found was that the first floor is in great shape. The outside is beautiful as long as they take care of it, so they can do weddings there. So they make their money doing weddings there, and then they're renovating this old chateau, and everything other than the first floor is a complete wreck. So they've got a ton of work to do in it. And but again, kind of like this Renovation Aloha show, like they have a fantastic relationship. Like they're really sweet. The guy that is their contractor comes in and helps them out, and he's almost like a part of their family. Like it's a sweet show, and then the work that they're doing is also really impressive. So If home renovation shows are any kind of your bag on HBO, check out Renovation Aloha and Castle Impossible. They're really great. So,
Nice. That sounds interesting.
and then I have nothing. So now I'm done. So, yeah. So I don't know what's coming next week. I know I will be here. I think. Are you available next week?
Father's Day weekend.
Father's Day weekend. Well, then you gotta go love your dad. So I'll allow it. I don't know if Andrew's around. I know he's busy all month here and there. So we'll see what happens. It might just be me. I don't know. But we'll have something and we'll go from there. And so with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening and have a great week.